Good morning, everybody. I'm John Nowels. I'm an undersheriff here with the Spokane County Sheriff's Department. I'm here doing the badge report for Sheriff Knezovich, who is out of town today. One of the things that I do with the Sheriff's Office is I am the commander of the Intelligence and the Investigative Divisions. We handle all sorts of crimes, all of the investigations to include major crimes, property crimes, and then investigations into a lot of our groups like our domestic terrorist groups, international terrorist groups, and things like that. What I want to talk to you today in the badge report is about property crimes here in Spokane County and some exciting new technology that we were just able to implement or in the process of implementing. We know that there's a lot of property crimes that go on here in Spokane County, and to give you an example of the rise in property crime lately is we here in Spokane County have had about a 60% increase in stolen vehicles. Statewide, since the implementation of the no pursuit legislation, stolen vehicles are up 88% in the state of Washington. The reason I bring that up is we as the police are very effective at investigating crimes, investigating property crimes, crimes against persons, and we have a lot of really, really good personnel dedicated to investigating those crimes and holding people accountable. So why is it that we're having an increase in property crimes? Why is it that we're having an increase in crimes against persons and shootings and violent crimes? Well, frankly, it's policy being driven at the state level. As I just articulated with the statistic above, something as simple as mandating that police don't pursue people who are running and not being able to hold people accountable has driven a significant increase in vehicle thefts. Well, there are some things that we can do and some new technology we just received that are going to allow us to identify more people committing property crimes and hopefully hold them accountable in court. So recently, Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers went to Congress and got us a congressional earmark for $480,000 for the Spokane County Sheriff's Office to implement what's called a rapid DNA program. This congressional earmark, these dollars are delivered to us through a grant from the Department of Justice, through the Office of Justice Programs, or OJP. And we just received notification that we've received the grant. So what is rapid DNA technology? Everybody knows that we've had significant advances in DNA technology for the last 20 years. And we know that our capacity to find, locate, test, and develop DNA profiles has significantly increased exponentially, actually, over the last couple of years. But what a lot of people don't realize is the Washington State Patrol's crime lab, who primarily handles identifying DNA profiles and collecting and analyzing evidence, has an immense backlog from around the state and frankly don't have the resources to be able to use that technology on any cases other than crimes against persons, such as rapes, homicides, murders, things like that. So there's been this gap where we know that people who commit crimes against property, doing burglaries, thefts and things like that, we know that they do leave DNA at scenes, and we would technically be able to use those DNA evidence to identify people. But because the State Patrol doesn't have the capacity to process those samples, it's really been a void in our capabilities to identify criminals. Well, with this rapid DNA technology, this is going to allow us to process our own samples in as little as 90 minutes to develop a DNA profile and potentially identify suspects in property crimes in areas where we would not be able to have utilized DNA technology before. So this is really exciting for us to be able to do that. And you did hear me right when I said we would be able to develop a DNA profile in as little as 90 minutes. This technology is also portable, so we'll be able to take these machines out to crime scenes and other events that may require we are out developing profiles out in the field. So it's going to not only allow us to use it to fight property crimes numbers and help lower our property crimes numbers, but it's also going to help us develop profiles for people who are committing serious crimes in our communities, like murders, robberies, and crimes like that. So it really is going to be a huge benefit to us in the community. I cannot thank Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers enough for securing that funding for us. It is fantastic that we have federal partners who will make sure that we have the funding to implement this technology. The Washington State Patrol Crime Lab is also procuring this technology as well. And we will be working with our state legislators to enact and maybe draft some laws that are going to allow us to have access to the CODIS system to match our DNA samples to known profiles. So there are some legal hurdles that we're going to have to overcome and hopefully work with our local legislators to get some laws changed that will allow us to be most effective with this technology. And we really are excited about our ability to go to work identifying people through DNA samples who are committing some of our most significant property crimes and identifying people who, might be doing organized crime, in property crimes and things like that. So that is something that's very, very exciting going on with the Sheriff's Office. So I am happy to report about that. An additional item that I really want to talk about with the Sheriff's Office today is another grant that we received. And this grant we received was through the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. We've done a lot of informational outputs to the community about our behavioral health unit or our co-deployed mental health teams with our officers. We have received a grant from WASPIC for our co-deployed teams for the last 3 years. The first year we received this grant, it was for about $790,000, which really only funded a portion of this regional unit that we partake in with Frontier Behavioral Health, the Spokane Police Department, the Spokane Valley Police Department, and the Sheriff's Office. But this year, I'm happy to report, we received $2.1 million to fund this unit. This unit has become a model statewide and even nationwide on how to build a regional behavioral health unit or a co-deployed team. And essentially what that means is we have officers from the city of Spokane, Spokane Valley, and the Sheriff's Office who are teamed up with a mental health clinician. And they respond to all of the calls for people who are in crisis when they are on duty. And it's truly a regional unit, which means you may see, if you live in Deer Park and we get a call that somebody's in crisis, well, if the behavioral health unit who is on duty at the time happens to be a Spokane police officer and a clinician, you will see Spokane Police Department officers up in Deer Park or Medical Lake or in the Spokane Valley responding to those calls for service. And vice versa, you would see sheriff's deputies down in the city of Spokane with a clinician responding to calls for service there. It really is a good indication of the kind of collaborative effort that we take with regional law enforcement, with our community partners like Frontier Behavioral Health. And we have wide community support for this program because these deputies and officers and clinicians are extremely effective at reducing the calls for service. They're able to deliver mental health services to the public in the field. And the intent is that we reduce the strain on our jails, we reduce the strain on emergency rooms where a lot of these folks end up if they cannot be stabilized in the community, and we're able to direct these folks to resources outside of those two areas. Some of the programs that Frontier Behavioral Health has, our Crisis Stabilization Center can take some of that. And we're also able to help stabilize people in their homes, in the community, which is really preferable whenever possible. So that is another great program that's been really, really successful, and we really do want to keep building it. And there's a lot of public support by both the public and our other elected officials to keep programs like that going and to increase their support and effectiveness. So I think those are a couple things that are really important for the community to know that we are doing right now as the Sheriff's Office and regionally in police services. Again, thank you for listening. And again, I'm John Nowels. I'm the undersheriff here in Spokane, and I thank you for your time.